What's up, y'all? It's Sarah the Rebel, and if I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we love wrestling.
Not here, you missing out. Is this show?
Welcome to Women on Wednesday. You know, our Wednesday series where we invite different women in the wrestling business on. Today, we have someone who's here with us of many talents. She's a published writer. She's a wrestler. I love all her character that she has. You've seen her on our YouTube. She is the first person with a first match in our We Love Wrestling views to get over 1,000 views. We have with us here today, Sarah the Rebel. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Oh, that's so funny that would be the match to do that.
Yes.
It was
It's just funny that was a match where nothing went the way I thought it would go before I got to the venue. From literally me being like, we're in a cornfield. Number one, I was like, we are literally wrestling in a cornfield. I've heard jokes about this. Look, sorry. I don't mean to cut off your intro. We can get into that in a minute, but bring it back up.
You're good. You're good. Well, let's just get the first question out the way. What started? I want to talk about these cornfields. What started your love for wrestling, or why do you love wrestling?
I was flipping through the channels one day. I knew about wrestling, Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and stuff. I'd seen them in passing, so I knew what wrestling was. But one day I was flipping through the channels. I think I was like 10, maybe, probably younger than 10. And I saw a woman on my screen, and I thought she's dressed like an Amazon from Xena. So I thought, oh, Xena's on. And then the camera pulled back from her, and it was China. And I had never seen women in the wrestling ring before at that point. Like, I had only ever seen guys. Women were like on the side. You know, they could be managers and stuff, but they weren't in the ring. And so this kind of blew my mind. And not just any woman, but a woman who looked like that. And I was like, I want to watch this. And then I saw Luna and then Miss Jackie. And basically, so China, Luna, and Miss Jackie are what made me fall in love with wrestling and start watching.
Funny you mentioned Luna Vachon, because it's a character that you do that kind of reminds me of Luna Vachon. Like what I see you just at the past Heroes and Legend, just some of your mannerisms and the way you were acting in the ring. I like this. Well, I tell everybody I like your character.
Thank you.
But we got to go right back. We got to reverse back around to these cornfields. I was gonna bring this up later, but we here now. When you started your wrestling career, did you ever think you'll be wrestling in cornfields?
No, I thought this was, it's a joke. Some wrestlers will be like, oh yeah, I've wrestled everywhere from the big stadiums to a cornfield now, whatever. They'll just say stuff like that. And I didn't know that they meant that they were literally saying you will sometimes wrestle in a cornfield. And so that was the first of all that I was like mind blown. Okay, listen, y'all. I'm from Virginia, which some people think of as being like a little country, but we're not really that country. We grow peanuts and that's about it, and have hogs. But like a real cornfield, Mama, I was like, can we go in it? Like what?
They're not that fun. They seem like they are, but they're just it's just gross, and it like gets stuck to your clothes, and it's not fun. I'm from Ohio, and I currently live in Ohio, so we have all of the cornfields that you can possibly imagine.
This was new to me, and I was looking at it.
And that was like my first. I knew what the place was, so when they told it, I was like, how are they gonna do this? But then to get there and be like, oh, the ring is like really right by this big field of corn.
You can see on my Instagram, if you think we're exaggerating, a picture of me coming out of this cornfield. Because I had to take a picture with it. But so first of all, I was in a cornfield. So I'm laughing my brain off about that. But second of all, so we're the first match. So I'm like, oh dear, this was my first match back from the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't even necessarily know if I can wrestle. So I tell the girl I'm wrestling, hey, you gotta be the ring general in this match. Blah, blah, blah. I had no idea. And she didn't tell me that she also had not been wrestling that long, P.S. But she didn't mention that. Anyway, I am normally the heel, and the booker of this show knows me as a heel, but she booked me specifically as a face for this show. So I'm having to like, kind of everything in my mind, I'm having to let go of and just go with the flow. We are about to start the show. We are 5 minutes away. The owner of the show comes out. He's like, "Hey guys, 5 minutes." And I say, "Excuse me, we had a spot we needed to tell the ref, but I don't see the ref. Who's the ref?" There was no ref.
No ref. Oh,
and the owner didn't notice because he's running, he's doing a million things, he's trying to set up everything. He didn't even know that the ref didn't show up. So luckily, everything worked out fine in the end. We got a random person had their ref gear, so we got a ref. I made it through my first match back from the pandemic. I was a face, so it hurt me a little to be the face because I love what I call festival wrestling. I love interacting with the crowd. It's my favorite thing. And this crowd was not hype. And I could have like really, really messed with them and had a really good time with the whole cornfield thing. But I was like, I'm the face, so I can't say anything. So that hurt me. But overall, it was fun to see how unrusty I actually was. Like I had been working, but not like in a professional setting, not in front of people. I'd just been training. So I was really pleased with, I didn't feel rusty. There were a few things that like, yes, I absolutely learned some stuff. I learned stuff in every match. But as far as my actual like ability to wrestle, that was a surprisingly, like I was like, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing.
That if you guys go to, I think it's maybe like episode 37, we talked to Jeremy Gomez about that referee situation. Yeah, didn't notice either. I was involved in that. Someone gave me the number, and we actually tested dude, and he told us that he was. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and tell it because I told it before. He told us that he was there, so we was like, okay, where are you at? Then he sends another text and says, well, if you send me $100, then when I get there, then I can be on the way because I'm stuck somewhere. And we're like, what? I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So somebody was there, had a referee shirt, and then come around Monday, the referee text us like, hey, my phone got hacked and it wasn't me that you was talking to and everything. Like,
yeah, okay. Sure.
Whatever. Man, that was a bad weekend for Mr. Gomez. Did he tell you about all that? The robberies and the...
Yeah, I mean, you come into the area that I'm in, and if he would have told me before he got there, I would have told him don't even go into the area that he was talking about staying in.
Real quick. Okay, I was with Super Beast. Super Beast. If you've never seen him, Google him right now. This is a huge man, okay? I'm walking with Super Beast and Funny Bone, who is also big, okay? I shouldn't have to feel nervous walking to the 7-Eleven with these two people. A man the size of Chris Bay, but without muscles, tried to step to Super Beast.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man, that's not that area, man.
That area.
I was like, are you serious right now? No,
that's wild.
You don't go over there. But
I saw the lady that I know cased the house before the robbery too, because she was like sitting outside and she asked some weird question, and we were like, "What?" And then she like laughed nervously and like went somewhere, but we were just like, "What was that?" But at the time, you don't really think, you're not expecting. I didn't know I was in the hood, first of all, so like nothing connected for me to be like, "Wait, that was suspicious. We need to be careful."
Yeah. Hey, some crazy things go there. Another quick funny story at the Collective, somebody came in because it was in the same area, stole the IWTV belt and ran out the front door.
Oh yeah, I
with
remember
the
that
belt. So yes, let's stay out that area. But Sarah, let's get back on you. You said in every match you learned something. So how long have you been wrestling and where did you start your training at?
I've been wrestling technically like a year and a half. It's kind of hard to say exactly because of the pandemic and because I actually got hired to do this job where I had to move to Scotland for 2 months and then I had to move to Vegas. That's why I'm in Vegas. And as part of that job, I couldn't wrestle for a few months. So like trying to add up all the months that I didn't wrestle, I think it adds up to like half a year. So I started wrestling training when I was 28. I'm 33 right now. And I did training and then worked as a manager. And I managed Tyler Bateman, who's currently with Ring of Honor. I managed Vipress. That was my favorite one. Managed Queen Estrella. And then I ended up pretty much right after I finished training, I as a manager, not as a, because I had started wrestling training and then I got an injury. I stopped and then I started wrestling training again. And then I kind of got not an injury, but a mental like injury almost, where like somebody really hurt my spirit. And I was like, okay, I'm not a good wrestler, so I'm not going to take someone's spot. I'm not going to wrestle. And so I became a manager. I graduated Santino Bros through the manager class. And then I was in Japan just as a fan to watch some Stardom. And I get a text from a friend and she said, hey, girl, so I'm a writer. She said, hey, this seems like a perfect job for you. And it was somebody was looking for a writer to write for a women's wrestling show. And I was like, oh my God, is this the perfect job for me? So I messaged them. I never hear back. I'm about to give up on it. And like 2 weeks later, maybe I say, I'm just going to send one more message because this really would be such a dream. The person responded, so, oh, so sorry, I forgot to respond to you. It's David McLean. If you don't know your history, he's the guy who created Glow with some other folks. And anyway, after Glow, he created several other companies trying to kind of recapture what Glow had. And one of those companies he created was WoW. And they were rebooting WoW and trying to get more of the top indie stars into WoW. And so anyway, I worked as their writer. Pretty much if you go on WoW and look at the biographies, I wrote almost every single one of those character biographies on there. And so that was a really awesome experience. And then they said they were going to do auditions. And I said, hey, I know I'm a writer, but can I audition? And apparently they had a talk. Selena Majors, who used to be Bambi back in the day, very well known in the South back in those times. She told David, she said, listen, if we don't let her audition, she's going to wonder for the rest of her life what could have been if she could have done it, you know? So he said, yes. I blew that audition out of the water because I am who I am. And then I started wrestling for WoW. So that's kind of how and WoW has their own training school. I was trained by Tessa Blanchard and Selena Majors. So that's how I finished my wrestling training. You never really finished with wrestling training, but that's how I graduated from wrestling training. Then I also trained at the New Japan Dojo with Shibata as part of their first spring camp. I was the first woman to go through the new LA Dojo. I was the only woman in my class. That was a lot, but I learned. And so anyway, so I say I learned something every time because I'm so new. I'm learning. There's things they teach you in class and you're like, yeah. But then once you do it, you're like, I see what this meant.
Got the rebel here. Love it. I've heard something about Santino School. Did you have like a final match or a match that they judged you on or anything while you were at the school? We
had several test matches. Each time that you went from beginner to intermediate to advanced, you had a test and they would grade you. And now the first time I went through, I did whatever, but I got injured. Like I said, I have a bad back from years of being a gamer, actually, because I sit like this all day. And so I had to rehab my back basically and do a lot of Pilates. And I came back to train again. And this time I got the highest score from the beginner to intermediate. I was ranked #1 because I think it's scary. Doing wrestling school at Santino Bros is scary. I've been to other schools since then, and I can see why some people come out the way they do. But Santino Bros always says Santino tough, and that's like real, really real what they mean when they say that. And so coming back the second time, I was less afraid. And that made a world of difference, and it opened up what I could be as a wrestler. And they really saw that. And, Joey Chaos, Robbie Phoenix was my main trainer, and he's awesome. Joey Chaos is the one we kind of look at as our wrestling dad. He's, the overall person in charge. And he's told me so many times that congratulations, or I'm proud of you, because I got nominated for Rookie of the Year when I debuted. And he's just always been nothing but supportive to me. So it finally helped me figure myself out.
Brag about it. Now this next Nicole, I mean, I needed Nicole here because you both are podcast hosts.
Yeah.
Talking about women's wrestling, women out here podcasting, getting more women out here. So I wanted you two to interact with each other, and Nicole brings her perspective to it.
So, one of my main questions, I can't talk today, is where do you get more of a creative release from? From your writing or from your wrestling, or is it kind of a little bit of both, depending on what needs to get out at the time?
It's definitely both. Unlike some wrestlers, my focus isn't on my moves, right? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
like a Japan style wrestler where, I want to show you the coolest move I can do. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to tell you a story and I'm trying to make you feel something. Whatever that is, whether it's hatred or joy or anything like that. So really, when I step into the kind of companies that appreciate that and like that and let me play with that, it is the most fulfilling feeling in the world when you've got the crowd doing every single thing you want them to do. Just feels amazing. And then at the same time, when I'm writing and I get out something that's been living in my head, that also feels amazing. So I think equally, and sometimes one will flow easier than the other at any given time.
Awesome. So another thing I was also a little bit curious about, because obviously you were the first woman to graduate from the North American Dojo. So what did you learn, and what experience that you have that you hope not the next girls who come up after you that go through the dojo don't necessarily have to deal with, that you already kind of paved the way for?
I think with me, they have a lot of concerns about appropriateness there, and so they brought in Mima Shimoda from she's originally from Japan, but she's based in Mexico. It's where she does her wrestling,
Yeah.
and she was there to interact with me to make sure everything was appropriate. Like they do a stretch on a tire, and Shimada's like, "We're not touching her." He didn't say it, but he was like, and so she had to come
Yeah.
in and stretch her on the tire. But so I wouldn't say there's anything that, like, what they went through with me, I think was, okay, we have a girl, so we have a girl trainer. How's this going to go? I don't think they necessarily learned anything from interacting with me, but what I learned from my time there was kind of this, that I can push myself so much further than I ever thought I could, because I was incredibly ill. In COVID times, if I told you how sick I was, you'd be disgusted, because we now are all like, oh, germs, don't do that to other
Yeah.
people. Okay, this was before that, right? I literally have tissues up my nose. I have a cough that, like, another fan, like, just still talks about to this day, about my cough. Like, it was
Oh
like I
man.
was going to die. I'm like so incredibly sick. I am the only female there, and I am by far the weakest person there. There's some women who came after me who are strong girls who work out, who are boxers, blah, blah, blah. So, like, it wouldn't have been as bad for them. But for me, so many times during that week, I kept thinking, why did they invite me here? Like, they wouldn't change the weights. I was doing the same weights as the
Yeah.
guys, you know. But Mima Shimoda pulled me aside one day, and she didn't speak that much English, but she just points at me and she goes, "Strong heart." And she was my cheerleader that whole time. Anytime my arms gave out while we're doing, like, wheelbarrow push-ups, she would literally grab me and lift me up with her body. Like, no, you're not giving up. Like, she was just there for me. And then I found out later from the guys, after it was all done, they said, you were really inspiring to us, because, they had us doing hundreds of jump squats, right?
Hmm.
And they were saying every time I wanted to quit, I'd be like, is the girl still going? I can't quit.
And
So,
I
and I made some cool friends from that too.
That's awesome. I think that's the amazing thing. I have my referee's license. I haven't been able to use it yet because of COVID and all this fun stuff, and then me working full time again. But the school that I got my training from and I got my license, there was literally me and one other girl there, but she was there fully for wrestling. And I feel like there's such a kinship that comes from, even though she was just training you, but just being just two girls, and you're in this room all day every day with all these sweaty dudes, and you just create such a bond, and a bond that can last for God knows how long. 'Cause I still talk to her. I don't talk to her every day because obviously, we're adults and everyone's busy, but we still are really good with like checking up on each other and see how we're doing. So I think that's fantastic how we're able to always create bonds, and even when situations aren't the greatest, and always make the best of it.
Definitely.
And just one more thing, because obviously we can't get over the cornfield thing. Is there another place that you've wrestled at that has been like kind of weird besides the corn maze or the cornfield, or was that one that just kind of took the cake?
So this place I wrestled one time, it was even described to me before I got there as like, don't freak out when you get there, okay?
Oh man.
It was a shack in the middle of a forest. And it was in Alabama. And literally when we pulled up, we kind of looked at each other, we're like, we might die. And everyone's kind of like, we might. There's definitely been someone who has died here. There's no way there's not a dead body somewhere on the premises. We get inside. There's no lights in the bathroom. There's no heat in the building. It was freezing cold. In fact, me and my partner planned our whole match with no bumps because we were too cold. We didn't want to hit the ground. But yeah, it was that was a fun one too. Not as pretty as a cornfield, but definitely terrifying.
All right. Well, I'm gonna kick it back to Terry, see if he has one last thing. But again, thank you so much for sharing all the weird stuff, especially that would freak me out. Also, just me being black in Alabama in the middle of nowhere, I'd been like, no, I gotta go. I'm going home. Peace out. I don't care how much I'm getting paid.
I had some good folks with me. Nina Monet was there. I'm not scared of nothing when she's around. She's strong as crap. The Woad was there. There were lots of strong people around me that I could be like, y'all take care of the problem.
Sarah, let me ask you, what game are you playing right now?
Oh, it's embarrassing.
Don't be embarrassed. Come on with it.
I'm playing Sims 4.
What? I was online last night and I saw you talking about the Sims 4. I was like, Sims 4? Really? What number is Sims on right now?
That's it. They're on 4. They've been on 4 for a few years.
Oh, okay.
It's garbage. Sims 3 is way better, but whatever. Play what I have.
So I heard you're like a gamer, maybe like an ultimate gamer. Is that true?
Yeah, I used to be way more. A really weird thing happened last summer. So I was always a gamer. I had a gaming website. I wanted my job out of college to be doing public relations for video games, and I moved to California, and that was my first job out of college, is doing PR for video games. I did I've even written for video games. I've done social media for video games, and then of course I play all the time. But this summer, when the first riot started, and all the footage that was going by on social media, almost feeling like you're right there, you're watching, and something about seeing other people watching the same thing and still not having the empathy for the what was going on, for the violence, for the things that Black people are dealing with. You know, for years you could say, oh, Black people are exaggerating if you wanted to about the police situation, right? Because there wasn't body cameras on every cop. Not everyone had a cell phone to record everything. You know, Rodney King was like a big moment. And then we've had several small moments, but like this was a moment where everything that Black people have been saying was on camera for everyone to see. And still there were people saying things like, oh, they deserve it, or they should just comply. And something in me broke. I don't know any other way to describe it. And like, because I don't know, I feel like I always wanted to believe that if the vast majority of people could just see it and really have that proof, it would make a difference. And it didn't. And I didn't feel like doing anything fun for about 6 months. I didn't pick up a video. I'd pick up a video game and just put it right back down. I'd pick up a book and I'd put it right back down. Like all I could handle was like a mobile game or something once in a while. But I really had a hard time relaxing. And I think it was probably the combination of the riots, and then also the pandemic was going on. I lost like 4 family members last year. So I'm actually not, I don't feel comfortable calling myself an uber gamer right now, because I'm like, I'm not really playing. I started playing The Sims again, and so I think I'm finally come out the other end of whatever that weird mental thing I was going through was.
Now, people watching may not know this, but you are also mixed. So I know when we was at the event at the cornfield, guy was like, "Hey, man, the white girl is cool," and I was like, she's mixed, bro. Just put it out there. I just had to like, she's mixed, bro. It's like, no, she's not. I'm like, seriously, look
No,
at
I
it.
don't look it.
So I mean,
it's okay. Terry's light skinned too.
so, but yeah, okay, forget you. So when people look at you, like, have you ever experienced any situations where they don't think you mixed, and people might just run off at the mouth and say something, that, hey, you feel real comfortable saying that, but you didn't know this? Because I've been in those certain type of situations with people.
Oh yeah, ever since I cut my hair. When I had longer hair, people could tell it was something, right? That's what me and Ayla Fox were talking about this. She was like, "I think you're something." That's always what's said. You're something, right? So maybe I'm Puerto Rican or something like that. So people didn't really used to do it when I had long hair. But when I cut my hair, now I look very much not. And when I went to LA, like everyone knew I was mixed. It was crazy. I was like, "How can you tell?" And they were like, "How can we not tell?" I'm like, "Y'all got a lot more mixed people out here, I guess." But I cut my hair, and people don't know that I'm anything. And yeah, like it was really eye-opening to me, especially because coming from Virginia, Virginia has racism in its history. And the very fabric of Hampton, Virginia is this was a port where Black people were brought as slaves and sold. We still celebrate Bay Days, which was when the ships would come in. We have whole cities that were burned to the ground during the war. To me, I can comprehend and understand why people are racist. I don't like it, of course, but I can at least understand it. Coming to LA, where it was founded by Black and Mexican people, essentially, and like doesn't have all that history, and just how racist LA people still were, but like not knowing they were racist. Like the Virginia racists put a flag up. They know they're racist. But like LA racists would be like, there was a bottle of Aunt Jemima syrup out or something like that, and one of the ladies just like picked it up and said like, "Oh, I wish I had a mammy growing up" or something. I was just like 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 it would just come out of nowhere from people who didn't think of themselves that way, and that almost made it like rougher. And I had to have an understanding then to myself that racism isn't a thing that like comes from somewhere or that makes sense or that you can necessarily even fix using logic. Like it's just a hateful place that people are in, and it's like so saturated in people's lives that they don't even notice when they're doing it. So yeah, all the time people just say some wild ass shit around me, and I'll just be like, and then we have a little fight.
In that you said saturated. Let's talk about something that is saturated. This podcast game out here, but you've been a part of many podcasts, and you're a great host, if I say so myself.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm helping with the saturation. Yeah, I've done a lot of podcasts. Started with the first one was Rebel Base with my girl, where we talked about nerdy stuff, mostly Star Wars, and then it became Woman Up, where we switched. IGN created a Rebel Base podcast. We were like, we can't compete with IGN. It's okay, we'll change our name to Woman Up. And then I started doing my first wrestling podcast with my ex-co-host, Tamara, who's still my best friend. Misfits Tamara online, if you want to follow her. She's so funny. We did women's wrestling, Friends, WWF. And then I met TK Trinidad. I met her at AfterBuzz. She wanted me to come in and host a women's wrestling weekly show with her. The AfterBuzz was some weirdos. TK. Yes, TK's great. AfterBuzz are some weirdos, and they wanted me to take some test, and then like they said I failed that test. It was a bullshit because I was like weird. One of their best hosts, but whatever. So then, I just basically anywhere I could get in, fit in. I seem to always end up with a podcast. And so then when AfterBuzz shut down, TK wanted to continue Women's Pro Wrestling Weekly without AfterBuzz. And the first thing she was like, I could have Sarah back. So she hit me up.
It's great. I like what y'all doing out here for women's wrestling. Um, one of the there's a lot of podcasts out here, but you guys are spotlighting the women, and if anything come across my timeline, I'm seeing y'all coming across my timeline. So keep working. I like everything that you're doing here.
Thank you.
Oh, that random question I always ask: The Rock or Stone Cold?
As a kid, this answer would have been The Rock, just like that, because he was fine and electrifying man. So that would be such an easy thing for me to say. Why are you laughing so hard? He is.
Okay, I
The
mean,
man look good. Still okay. Anyway, but when I started wrestling, I kind of started liking Stone Cold way more. And in fact, my first character idea was I was going to be female Stone Cold. I was going to have the jean shorts, jean vest, have my beards when I came out. Like I had this whole, I was going to wear wolf shirts. Like, those ugly wolf t-shirts with the moon? You know the ones I'm talking about. I was going to wear like a
Oh
cut
my
up one of
gosh.
those. I had this whole like kind of plan for it. But anyway, the funny thing about wrestling is some people have characters and they are so strong in that dream that there's nothing else. But me, weirdly enough, everyone seems to see me as like a palette, that they have a vision and they want me to bring it to life. And so that ended up not being one of the characters that I was. But so anyway, long story short, now I'm more like, I like them both a lot for different reasons. I think that they are both amazing storytellers and true to themselves and could adapt and change to what they needed to be. I think Stone Cold was a little bit better at adapting and changing. But yeah, entertaining, wonderful, entertaining people. How can I choose? They're both great.
First person to do that, I always say it's no right or wrong answer, but she just gave the perfect answer. That's all the people have to say if they watching. Before we do the final spot, I just want to put you over how you just described the character and everything. If you get a chance to see Sarah at a show, I've seen her 2 times in the last year, both times, both times in Indiana. The way she does her character and the crowd interaction, the facial expressions and just the movements, how she's telling the story in there, even when little things are going on. This is somebody that I really, really, really think people should pay attention to. Um, you're also, are you still doing your tag team, your intergender tag team?
So right now, it's mostly me managing him because no one has booked us as a tag team. So I don't know what they're afraid of. A Lucha Underground star and a WoW star. You put us together. That's money. What are you pussies afraid? Sorry, I mean to say pussy on podcast.
No, you can. We don't care.
We don't.
But yeah, so we haven't actually gotten to wrestle yet as a tag team, which is so sad because tag team wrestling is my favorite kind of wrestling. I don't know if you saw that little spot me and Vipers did in Indiana, but like I was like leaning on her like, don't you think that would be fun to do more often? Tag teaming? I love being a tag team, and wow, it's my favorite thing. And every time I get thrown in a tag team, because tag team wrestling combines my favorite things, which is being a manager, which is talking and interacting with the crowd, because you're managing your partner when they're in the ring, and then wrestling, because you also wrestle. So I just want a tag team partner. Besides my boyfriend.
Hey, Sarah, don't mind this moment here. Hey, people who we help sponsor. I had a match idea, you know, maybe call Sarah up. It's 2 people down in the Florida area. Um, Sky Blue and Jake Painter, who's been out here tagging together. Um, I'm just saying, you can make that match happen.
It could be money. There's so many good couples that are wrestling, right? Raylan and Sam Adonis. We could wrestle them. The peanut butter guy and his frosty girlfriend, peanut butter frosty. Is that their name when they wrestle? I don't know. Pretty proper. That's it. I remember.
Yes.
Listen, there's people out there that want to see this couples tag team tournament, and if you a promoter book it, you're gonna be famous.
Couples tag A. Yeah. You know what? I got 5 teams off top of my head. Couples tag team tournament. Yes, I am all about. Let me stop because somebody
Write
gonna
that
take
down.
the idea. Um, before we go out, we do this little moment here where we have the person just put themselves over. Tell everybody their social media where they can buy a T-shirt, support you, anything that you have coming up. We just want you to go ahead and put yourself over.
Thank you very much. You can follow me on every single thing at Sarah the Rebel. Sarah's an H is God in the Bible intended. That's patreon.com/Sarah the Rebel, facebook.com/Sarah the Rebel, twitter.com/Sarah the Rebel, instagram.com/Sarah the Rebel, your mama's house.com/Sarah the Rebel. Listen, if it's got a website and I'm on it, I'm Sarah the Rebel. You can find me. Join my Patreon. We have a lot of fun. Storefrontier.com, like you're in the frontier like a cowboy and you're at a store. Storefrontier.com/Sarah the Rebel. You can buy yourself some gear and follow me and hit me up. I talk to my fans.
Ooh, she does. She even lets you know about how the Sims game plan is going. Just go look at her tweets from. Just go look at her tweets and you'll see.
My boyfriend called me about the one last night. Wait, what happened with your Sims?
It came across my timeline. I said, "What on Sim? No, okay." But I got to stop. Nicole, down for the count.
Just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. Can't wait to see some more matches from you. Hopefully, we can get some more tag and intergender. 'Cause I feel like intergender wrestling is just so underrated right now, and I feel like it has such a weird stigma against it sometimes for no reason. Where it should be, you're an athlete. You're an athlete. It shouldn't really matter what you have and what you don't have between your legs. So I hopefully get to see more of that aspect for you and back in WoW because I love WoW and I miss it as well. So
Yes, it's just California law holding us back right now. So as soon as that all settles down, we're going to be back.
I am on a mission now to get Sarah the Rebel booked in an intergender tag match, and I think I know where it could happen. Yes, people come on the show and things just start to happen with us. We the mom and pop shot of this women's wrestling, all independent wrestling. So hey, and it happens, I'm gonna cut this back and show you that boom. So we're gonna make it happen. I can't wait.
Like, I believe. Universe, send it. Do it.
manifest it.
We're gonna have some talks about this because I actually been thinking about it, and you got Janai Kai and Yo out here. You got like you said, Lady Frost and the Real Savage Gentleman out here.
Mm-hmm.
You got I'm not gonna put too many out there. You got the Ninja and Real Danny Moe. Got them out here. I could give y'all a whole tournament, but we're not gonna do that. So we'd like to thank Nicole from Down for the Count for joining us. We'd like to thank Sarah the Rebel for joining. Sarah, do you got any shows or anything coming up? Pandemic or wherever. I see you out here. People need to see you. You got anything?
Yeah. So I'll be on Nox Pro, which you can watch online on Tuesday the 18th, and
on
then
Twitch.
Yep, you can watch on Twitch, and then on Sunday the 23rd. If you're in Vegas, Mandalay Bay, there's this weed convention, and they put on a wrestling show. So, I'm pretending to be all about that. I don't know nothing about it, but I'm going to be like, yes, toke up, my brethren. Absolutely. Where are the trees?
Oh, man.
Forthwith bringeth me the grass. I think that's how potheads talk. I don't know, but I'm going to blend in and have fun.
June 23rd in Vegas?
May 23rd.
Oh, May 23rd. I was going to say it's that Cannabis Fest. Somebody told me something about wrestling in Vegas, and I was like, what? But these weed conventions do be bringing wrestling in. So, guys, I mean, if that may be something to look into, but I'm giving up too much. Again, thank you, Sarah the Rebel, for talking with us and giving us this time. Nicole, thank you for joining us from Down for the Count. And I'm Terry Trey D, whatever you want to call me. But like I always say, if I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we love wrestling. It's too sweet. Ooh.